living in community, living a shared retreat, can't underestimate the value, long-term value of goodwill, long-term necessity of it. To place that to the fore rather than discriminating consciousness, mano vijnana. She's like this, he's that, the one that sets us apart, which has its value, but we start with the all-encompassing, the embracing, the welcoming. And then, then you can do the fine-tuning from there. This actually is a highly recommended recipe for social harmony in the human realm, which it doesn't seem to be pervaded with goodwill at the moment, if ever it was. It's so easy to discriminate. Nations, genders, ethnicities, and so forth. And once that starts, it gets really bad. Once that starts, we get the fear, we get the object, making people into objects of our fear, anxiety, our insecurity, our jealousy, our so forth. And then once that starts, the mind, the heart is completely distorted or closed down, and then there's almost no brutality that a human being will not commit to another. Whereas the opposite, cultivating the qualities of goodwill, there's almost no self-sacrifice that a human being will not be prepared to make for the welfare of another. People give their lives to help others. So there's a possibility. We just take these things to extreme extensions of where these trajectories go. Naturally, we're very keen to we're not going to get that bad, but to even nip it in the bud when these are getting into, discriminations and object and seeing people as objects. Really, we're subjects. We're all subjects. Everybody is a subject, and we want to respect that. So, community life, although it may seem to be putting everybody in the same box, really, the sameness of the box is just to make sure everybody gets equal place, equal rations, equal rooms, equal attention. To equalise things. Why we all sit in a group can feel like a schoolroom. That's a perception that can arise. But it also means everybody gets a defined place with their space. They don't have to jostle for it, elbow for it. It's there, it's guaranteed, And irrespective of the mood you're in, whether you're quick or strong or big or small, you get your space, and it's laid on. And that's a guarantee. Somebody turns up, we immediately make a space for them. That's the standard. You have to welcome. It's not, that sounds like a force, but it actually means if you're not welcoming, what are you doing? What's happening? If you're not welcoming another sentient human being seeking refuge, searching for truth, working with the difficulties, prepared to make the effort, and you're not welcoming them? What? What's happened? You see them as a nuisance, as an intrusion, because they fidget, or they're... What's happening? What's happening if we see each other as people we've got to control and fix and change and make into a standard model? You may think that's what it's about, but it isn't. You go down the line of monastics, every one is totally different. Well, once you live here, you realise just how different characters, types, there are. And I'm not trying to stereotype them. but we use a group form to mean it, whatever your character is, whether you're quiet, vociferous, forward-going or backward-reaching, whether you want to be in a corner, you want to be up front, that's put to one side. The way you discriminate yourself is put to one side. And that's the important point. Because we do discrimination not just on others, but on ourselves. I am not as good as, I'm better than, or even I'm the same as. Measuring, comparing, measuring. What do I do to be like that? Measuring. All this is the mano, and these are upper mano, measureless, is the qualities of goodwill. The mind is called uncramped, uplifted, abundant, exalted. Mahagata, Mahagatena, citta made great, made spacious, allowing. And we start with that. We have to lead with that towards ourselves. To allow, to get spacious around one's crankiness and agitation, recognizing the defilements of the mind are not a basic default state. They're guests, or they're unwanted guests, and we keep searching and valuing and reaching beyond that to the truthfulness and the aspiration, however unfulfilled it is. We keep reaching into that and reminding ourselves of that. I make mistakes every day I fail. Never mind, tomorrow fail better. Fail with greater clarity. See how you can understand it, rather than just wince and cringe and blame myself or blame others. This is the mind made, citta made great. This is ongoing metta bhavana. And it's important to. Well, I find it very important to have this as a basis and to not discriminate. Should I do an hour of metta practice, or should I do vipassana practice, or should I do samadhi practice? Should I do choiceless awareness practice? Well, yeah, I know what you mean, because when you write these things down in words, they stand apart, don't they? You can do insight practice, or you can do samadhi practice. Those are different words, right? But actually, they're just different ways of angling and tuning in. And if you ask yourself, well, do you practice insight with a aversion mind or with a loving mind? Do you practice calming with a benevolent mind or a hostile mind? You think, well, no, I practice with a benevolent mind. Then all the time, you're practicing metta. Your practice is in the atmosphere, in the dwelling place, in the vihara of metta. Karuna, mudita, upekkha. The viharas, we call them, abiding place. And within that, then, the heart is void of ill will, fear, anxiety, guilt, comparisons, pressure. When you really look at the ramifications of ill will, like a disease of the heart, where it's contracted and tight, where it can't bring forth its rich energies, its ability to embrace, its ability to be great and spacious. Anything that stops that happening, we can see as a form of illness, blight. So, where's the Vihara we dwell in? Or you In fact, you're encouraged to build that vihara. Make it ample. And so first of all, this is about tuning into the heart faculty above all. We practice, so you practice sila, not from a legalistic point of view, but because you care for the welfare of others and the welfare of your own heart. If you're being abusive, deceitful, this injures people, injures creatures, injures yourself. That's not a very loving thing to do. So you practice virtue from that same basis of care, respect. It may not seem flowery, but it doesn't have to be. You start with understanding differentiation, which is a feature of consciousness. I see this is black, this is white, this is green, it's blue. And you recognize you don't want to kind of base your assessments, your fundamental attitudes on that. You want to base your fundamental attitudes on these three intentions: renunciation, step back from the sensory appearances of things, non-cruelty. Don't be hard-hearted. Don't be dismissive. Don't shut off empathy and non-violence. Don't abuse. Don't look down upon. Don't disparage. Don't backstab. If there are faults, see faults in others, wait till you can talk from a mind of goodwill to help someone see through their difficulties. That's beautiful and that's respectful. And very much appreciated. So we see this as a fundamental, essential shift from discrimination to inclusion. Call it patimokkha samvara. Restraint according to the patimokkha. Patimokkha you can see as the, if you're not really familiar with it, as the rules that the monastics keep, monks keep, nuns have their versions. But really the word means a thorough bond, that which brings us into community. And it's full of training rules about sensitivity in relationship to lay people, not to demand, not to manipulate, not to favour, sensitivity in relation to fellow monastics, not to bully, not to hoard, but to share. Sensitive relationship to creatures. If you're building a kuti, make sure you're not disturbing the local wildlife. Keep plenty of space around it so you don't injure, get in the way of ants' nests or birds. And you can extend those principles. And essentially the thing is, we are bound to this and we hold this in common. We're bound together in fellowship through this. When you're bound together in fellowship with this and you really sense it, there could be a sense of rejoicing in my mind. It's great fortune. I'm glad I can be with people who have this sensitivity, who share this sensitivity and concern. Because we can talk, we can share, we're on the same wavelength. On this we're on the same wavelength. And that's what counts. Whether interested in, nuclear physics or Chinese poetry is secondary. So there's a sense of rejoicing, gladness in communion. Imagine if it wasn't. You're just feeling with people just got no way in, completely different wavelengths, completely, impossible. But so we reflect upon the qualities we hold in common and we feel strongly are connected to. Talk on renunciation, talk on virtue, talk on contentment, talk on sharing, talk on aspiration. Talk that's not commonly heard in the world. You go to a group meeting, ordinary people, you talk about what's your aspiration. They go, what? What's that mean? How's your equanimity going? What? Well, we can talk about these things. You might say, well, my equanimity is not much good, but at least we recognize something there to be treasured, and shared, and not just talked about, but also lived. So we don't just communicate with words. In silence we communicate with deeds. I share, I look out for, I take an interest in the welfare of my fellow summoners and those who gather here. I look to how I can help, how I can take some of the weight, how I can share, how I can make room. Ones who are slower, how I can give them space. I look for it. I want to look for it. It's not a burden. Because all this is the heart energy eager to open, expand and include. Now, of course, it's not that we have our difficulties, not because we're bad people, just because there's a lot of conditioning and ignorance cloud the citta, and it gets contracted. So as we look in the Satipatthana, when they talk about the nature of citta, the citta, when it's obscured by passion, by aversion, by delusion, these are very broad brush statements, so you notice the effects of it, the particular specific qualities that wash through, and you notice when they're not there. Take the time to notice when it's not there, when there's no aversion, or the aversion drops, or we begin to see through it. Second sequence is notice when the mind, citta, is constricted or scattered. So we're talking about not just the topics that flood through it, but if you like, the shape of it, whether it's tight, whether it's broken up and fragmented and spinning out. So these aren't specific qualities that infuse it, these are the results of those qualities. Constricting it, contracting it, scattering it. It can't maintain equipoise and balance. And this you contemplate what's happening there. And you begin to feel something's holding me in, defending myself, holding myself together. Or don't want to be here, something's constantly trying to break out. These currents of vibhava, leakage, avoidance strategies, escapist strategies. Vibhava, avoidance, escape, get me out, space out, let me not be here. Vibhava, bhava, I want to get this, I want to hold this is mine, keep it solid, keep it steady, that's for me. Bhava dhanna, constricted. And these are contemplating the shape of the citta, you begin to unmask these qualities of leakages, asava, that otherwise you don't really notice, because they creep up underneath, they creep up behind you. And they flow, and you're in this. I want to get out. What's happening? Meeting something we can't meet, touching something we can't bear. feeling pressurized, feeling stuck. Once you get that, then who's doing it? Well, somebody around here must be doing it, so you blame others, blame monasticism, or blame yourself. Once you get into the blame strategy, you know this is complete useless, because blaming is an understandable reflex, but it doesn't go anywhere useful. It doesn't actually release anything. It just perpetuates the narrative of poor me. So feeling tight, constricted, what's happening? Read it very directly. There's a kind of pressure, perhaps in my belly, in my chest, in my head. And just being very gentle and approaching these areas of the body, winding your attention, accepting the presence of agitation, pressure, not trying to force it away. This gentling attitude. Breathing. You see, you can call this samatha, if you like. You can call it anapanasati, if you like. You can call it metta bhavana. Whatever how you want to approach it. It's just different angles on the same process. Releasing in the body. Releasing the kaya sankara, the bodily formation, by releasing the citta sankara, the mental formation. Mental formation may be masked. It's fear. It's irritation. It's frustration. It's maybe you don't have a word for it. It's just something is pushing me, squashing me. Wind your attention over that. It's very okay. See it for what as something that's occurring to you rather than something you are. See it as an object. Be the subject. Responding to that object with a mind of goodwill. Maybe it needs compassion. The willingness to be with what's painful in a sympathetic way, rather than trying to dismiss it. This is contradictory to the logic of the thinking mind, which generally tries to, something's bad, push it away. Something's good, hold on to it. No, the heart says, if it's bad, we embrace it. If it's good, we embrace it. And then we'll see what happens. Yeah. The feeling of trust that unskillful citta impulses will level themselves out if you don't keep feeding them with more of the same energy. And what's happening? Making the citta great, expansive. And then wisdom will occur. It's like this, if you begin to see, you recognize the ripples where they're going. Often these ripples take us to history. Oh, because I've always done this since I was pressurized situation when I was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, and it's there. I never really released it. Traumatic experiences. I never really was able to release that. Oh, because the citta was tightened up, contracted. And in that tight state, everything that drops into it hits the walls of the tight state and bounces and reverberates, and we just get more intense. Because it's not wide enough to allow the ripples to dive down. It's rather like, you have a pebble and a teacup full of water, and you drop the pebble into the teacup, and ripples bash against the side of the cup, and you don't really see where they're going. You drop a pebble into a wide lake, you can see the ripples move and then fade and dissipate and dissolve. Oh, that's where it went. It dissolves. So unless the citta is properly spacious, we don't really get the deep insight into conditionality being of the nature to subside. We see it as something we've got to change, make other than that. And so the interference begins. And when the interference begins with the measuring mind, then the surgery, censorship, force, interference occurs, and we actually put more mental energy into a troubled situation. It gets more intense. And then generally we feel a kind of feeling of something wrong with me, and I can't change it, so I'm really something wrong with me because I can't change it very much, So it really is quite a lot wrong with me, and I'm stuck in this. And it just intensifies the narrative rather than providing a source of release. The source of release, with the release, the being who feels themselves to be in that tight state also dissolves. Who was that? Who was she? Who was he? That kind of frenzied, nervous being. Oh, that's not me, that's a formation. It's a mental formation, that's what it means. Sankhara. It's rather like this. Establish that vihara. And if you like, because words like loving kindness and compassion, they're very strong and quite beautiful words in themselves. But they don't actually, to my mind, they can't possibly encompass the subtlety of what's being recommended. As the Buddha once in a famous discourse, which should be famous, said, the wanderers of other sects, oh yeah, we teach loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy and equanimity. Yeah, we teach that. Nothing special about the Buddha. The Buddha says, you don't know what you're talking about. No one teaches it like I do. I tell you, if you cultivate metta, it takes you to the sphere of the beautiful. Huh? Sobhana citta. The immeasurable. This is not just about sending Christmas cards or handing flowers to people. The mind made great is beautiful. Beauty is a extreme, powerful sensitivity to the subjective uniqueness of things. Things are just exactly what they are at this moment, and they don't and they change. So it's a very sensitive appreciation and a willingness to be in this richness of experience without holding it. That's a very powerful balance. Willingness to be here, not escape, not vibhava, not fantasizing, not distraction, not running away. Willingness to be here, not holding on, not claiming anything, but respecting for life formations to be what they are. That's a very beautiful heart. But it begins with that, in my opinion. It doesn't begin with a sentiment, it begins with respect. There's a certain prosaic clarity around it. Respect. You start with that, particularly in terms of relationships, and you see respect is a very big thing on the monastic training. You know, it's not just about formal anjali, bowing and so forth. It's supposed to be mutual, ongoing, respecting people's karma, respecting we have to work in our own way, at our own rate, respecting that, respecting the variety of minds and the range of them. So if you do metta with too kind of with misunderstanding, you're kind of imposing a sentimental quality onto other people. Like, you should be cheerful. No, you don't. You could be as miserable as you like. That's fine with me. You know, I'm certainly interested in your welfare, but not going to lay some trip on you. I find that great relief. Sometimes the energies are just low. I don't really feel I want to engage right now. I just feel just getting through the hour is okay. I don't want a lot of yippee stuff. Just gotta get the engine going, you know, slowly. So early morning sometimes like that. I don't mind mornings; they just begin too early. If they could begin mornings about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But there it is, morning, early morning energy, cold, dark, hungry. Low energy, not much vitality in the system. Yeah, it's not really bouncing. So, okay. I remember one time I had this kind of repeated episode where I'd come down the back corridor and this person would jump out with a little flower. Yeah, metta, metta. Thank you very much. Yeah. Next day, come out with a little rock. Look at this, metta, metta. Oh, yeah. How are you doing today? I'm fine, thank you. I just thought, I found it really disrespectful, actually. You know, kind of trying to launch me to some emotional level. I'm not at yet. I'm not ready for it yet. Give me time. Give me space. Yeah, I've got to work through this. I appreciate just some respect. That would be a very nice way of expressing metta. And compassion, or whatever you want to put in it. Not ready yet. Yeah. And saying this to yourself, I'm not, I can't quite get to the great enthusiasm for meditation. I want to, but I can't get there yet. This is a struggle for me. Okay. May you be well. Take your time. Give yourself encouragement. Value the good that you do. Keep your eye on those good qualities you got. Whether you're doing the washing up, cleaning the spittoons, tidying your kuti up, looking after others. Look at that. Review that. Dwell in in the good. That's how you establish your vihara. Not on dwelling on the bad. And if you're living this life, this isn't just a half an hour practice. It's all seamless. It all flows together. So if we are appreciating the goodness, it's mudita, right? Appreciation of good qualities when they arise. And this is something we neglect. For most of us living in a community amounts to quite a considerable amount of self-sacrifice. It's 8 o'clock, I do it because it's 8 o'clock. Sometimes I'm ready, sometimes I'm not ready, but I do it. That's self-sacrifice. And we do this pretty much everybody doing a good degree of that. I'll take on the chore because so-and-so's sick. Absolutely no question. Absolutely no question. We don't waver. I think this is very admirable. So when we cultivate mudita, they think, this is great gladness for me. Not just, he's a good guy, but how beautiful to live in the companionship of people who tune in like that. I'm quite willing to let go, to sacrifice a bit. Now I can dwell in that. Rather than he doesn't sit very well, or whatever, or what one dwells in oneself. From a contracted state. And making this a vihara that all are welcoming, specifically including the elements you call yourself. These are the really triggering, tenacious qualities, the qualities you call yourself. Highly discriminative. I think partly because we are generally trained to be performance-driven from an early age. Not necessarily driven, but encouraged. Go up, get better at it, And so there's a certain sense of self-referencing that wasn't very good. And this is the pass mark, and you get up there. On all kinds of levels, Intellect, primarily, probably, strength, appearance, so on. And they're driven. Either conscious, however that's done. So we get like that. So we interview ourselves in our heads. And generally there's a red line underneath, not good enough. Could do better. And now it sounds true, I can't say that I'm perfected, so I could say I could do better. No, couldn't do better is not quite the right term. There's a greater fulfillment awaiting for you. Just open, expand, take your time. Because it's not better, it's greater, expansive, citta, still more equanimous, a very wide span, encompasses failing, succeeding, making a mess of it, being praised, being nobody, doing something brilliant whereby you're praised, being just ignored as number 95 in a group, upekkha. Being able to make things work, being frustrated, not able to make things work, upekkha. Seeing other people stuck for years and really wanting them to get out of it, but they can't make it, upekkha. Seeing yourself stuck for years and years in the same old stupid habit, upekkha. First of all, upekkha. And then when the passion's off, when the aversion's off, then we go, this is where you're getting stuck. You need to get very wide to understand that ripple of whatever it was. So the wider you can get, the subtler the ripples you can detect. This is this energy trying to form me into something. Trying to form me into something that I can feel glad about or treasure. Why do you need to do that? Who is this who's trying to be something? formation, sankhara. You know, I mean, it can seem as if it means just everything, you don't do anything. No. So you establish the vihara, so you're operating from a non-compulsive place, from a place endowed with sensitivity. These are not necessarily emotionally huge surges. They refer to an intrinsic sensitivity to the heart, to how it gets stirred and stressed and fragmented and contracted, and just easing out of that. You find you do that, the ill will dissolves, the dreariness lifts, the stuck here again and again and again, same old stuff, me again, that shifts. These locked patterns shift under the influence of the great citta. And so you cultivate it. Because you realize the value of that, you cultivate it any old way you can. Obviously, other people. You tend to turn that attention. That's your basic first go-to, is that. How are they? What's happening? I don't know, but I'm interested. That's your first thing. Then you receive, receptive, taking in, receptive, what you can take in, receptive, responsive, rather than jump to a conclusion, judgment and react to it. What they need is, yes, they should be receptive, sensitive. So often people just need the space to unfold themselves. A space they can't give themselves because their own contraction cuts it out. So we offer that. And it's a space not of distance, like she's over there, he's over there, so what? Separation, it's a space of I'm giving you, I'm attentive to you in a spacious way. Non-intrusive, non-obstructive, non-pressurized. And something in us can feel that when we listen to. We can feel it. We get a result. In community life, this is an excellent opportunity. So often what we're doing is pretty much slight adjustments of the same old thing. The technology around sweeping the path is not that sophisticated. Instructing people how to do the washing up, cleaning the dishes. But all these can be touched with coming from the right place. I remember one of the fond memories I have of spending time with Luang Por Sucitto is when they were having a difficult time at Amaravati and people were a bit contracted and going through some difficult stuff and looking for volunteers to do the washing up, to clean the dishes. And he said, Sucitto and I will do it. I said, really? Okay. So we jumped into the kitchen and we were with suds washing. It was rather nice, warm water, subtlety thing, getting things clean. Oh, there you go, dish, nice, washed it, clean, there it is. And I rinse it and you dry it. I mean, it's quite happy sharing experience rather than get the thing done so that I can go and practice. Which is the vibhava, isn't it? Get this out of the way, then I can do the... How many times are we trying to get out of one experience to get into a better one, rather than put quality into the experience we're having, right now? Yeah. Rather than this experience, then it could be that experience. Now this experience, could we put more quality into it, more heart into it, then it is transformed into an occasion for the heart to open and bring forth energy. So contemplate it. And when you're doing walking meditation, walking up and down, notice the times when the mind just feels, 10, been up and down this path 10 times, getting bored. 1, 2, then 10, then turn around, go back again. Oh, here we go again. So something else I could be doing. Something else. Well, if you're doing it like that, that's the result. If you're doing it, appreciating the ability of the body to move without pain, imagine you had your back was damaged, you find it very difficult to walk, just enjoying the experience of the body fluid and moving. Right now, not walking up and down as an idea, but the felt experience of how this body does it. An experience of the space around you, rather than, which tends to fill up with one's own psychodrama. The space that's there becomes full of our own machinations and speculations. Just walking through that into the space, immediately there, releasing. There's quality here. There's quality here. Appreciate. Stay in your vihara wherever you go. Take it with you.